Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the worst-selling motorcycles in America right now. Number 12. Harley-Davidson Nightster. The Harley-Davidson Nightster entered the market with high expectations, but sales haven't reflected the excitement many expected. While it's far from being a bad motorcycle, buyers across America have been choosing other Harley models instead, leaving the Nightster sitting on dealership floors much longer than the company would like. One reason is its identity. Traditional Harley buyers often prefer larger cruisers with the unmistakable character the brand is known for, while younger riders comparing middleweight motorcycles frequently find stronger value elsewhere. That leaves the Nightster stuck between two very different groups of buyers without fully winning either one. Pricing has also worked against it. Once buyers begin comparing similarly priced motorcycles, many decide to spend a little more for a bigger Harley-Davidson or considerably less for Japanese alternatives that offer comparable reliability and lower ownership costs. That makes closing a sale much harder for dealers. The result has been slower inventory movement, increased discounts in many markets, and dealerships working harder than expected to attract buyers. While the motorcycle itself has plenty of strengths, demand simply hasn't matched Harley-Davidson's expectations. If you walk into a dealership today, don't be surprised if the Nightster is one of the first motorcycles they're willing to negotiate on, because getting it out of the showroom has become tougher than many people realize. Number 11. Royal Enfield Continental GT650. The Royal Enfield Continental GT650 has earned plenty of praise from reviewers, but that hasn't translated into strong sales across the United States. Despite its classic cafe racer styling and attractive pricing, it remains one of the slower-selling motorcycles in many American dealerships, often sitting in inventory far longer than expected. One of the biggest challenges is its niche appeal. Cafe racers simply don't attract the same number of buyers as cruisers, adventure bikes, or naked motorcycles in the U.S. market. Many shoppers appreciate the GT650's looks, but ultimately choose something that's more comfortable, more practical, or better suited for everyday riding. Competition has made things even harder. Buyers shopping in the same price range have plenty of alternatives, and many are drawn toward motorcycles with more modern features or stronger brand recognition. Even customers who like the Continental GT650 often leave the showroom with something completely different after comparing multiple options. That slower demand has led some dealerships to keep these motorcycles in stock for months, making discounts and promotional offers increasingly common. For patient buyers, that can create an opportunity to negotiate a better deal than they might expect. The Continental GT650 isn't struggling because it's a poor motorcycle. It's struggling because it appeals to a much smaller group of buyers than most dealerships were hoping for. Number 10. Indian FTR. The Indian FTR continues to impress almost everyone who rides it, yet that hasn't been enough to make it a strong seller in the American market. Despite its unique styling and performance-focused character, it remains one of the motorcycles that dealerships often struggle to move, especially when compared with Indian's cruiser lineup. A big part of the problem is its position in the market. Cruiser buyers usually walk into an Indian dealership looking for motorcycles like the Scout or Chief, while sport bike riders often head straight to brands that have dominated that segment for years. The FTR ends up sitting somewhere in the middle, making it a tougher motorcycle to sell. Price doesn't help either. Many shoppers compare the FTR with established naked bikes from Japanese and European manufacturers, and some feel they're getting more technology or stronger value elsewhere. Others simply aren't willing to pay a premium for a motorcycle that doesn't fit neatly into a traditional category. Because of that slower demand, some dealerships have been forced to rely on discounts, special financing, or manufacturer incentives to move remaining inventory. Buyers who are willing to shop around can often find deals that weren't available when the motorcycle first launched. The Indian FTR hasn't failed because of its performance. It has struggled because standing out in a crowded market doesn't always translate into strong sales. Number 9. Moto Guzzi V85 TT. The Moto Guzzi V85 TT has built a loyal fan base among the people who own one, but that fan base remains relatively small in the United States. Even though it's a capable adventure motorcycle with plenty of character, sales have been slow enough that many dealerships keep them in stock much longer than competing models. One of the biggest obstacles is brand visibility. Many American buyers automatically compare adventure bikes from BMW, Honda, Yamaha, and KTM, while Moto Guzzi often isn't even on their shortlist. That makes attracting customers into the showroom much harder before the motorcycle even has a chance to impress them. The V85 TT also competes in one of the toughest motorcycle segments. Adventure buyers have dozens of well-established choices, many backed by larger dealer networks and stronger aftermarket support. Even riders who appreciate the Moto Guzzi's unique personality often choose a more familiar option simply because it's easier to own or service. The V85 TT isn't short on quality or capability. It's simply fighting for attention in a segment where standing out has become one of the hardest jobs in motorcycling. Number 8. Honda CB300R. The Honda CB300R is one of those motorcycles that almost everyone agrees is good, yet surprisingly few people actually buy. Despite carrying Honda's reputation for quality and reliability, it has struggled to generate the kind of showroom traffic the company expected, making it one of the slower-selling motorcycles in America right now. The biggest challenge is the competition surrounding it. Buyers shopping for an affordable naked bike have more choices than ever before, and many end up choosing motorcycles with larger engines, more aggressive styling, or lower prices. Even loyal Honda customers sometimes decide to stretch their budget for a bigger model instead. Dealerships have noticed the slower demand, which means the CB300R often spends more time on the showroom floor than Honda's best-selling motorcycles. It's not unusual to find dealers willing to negotiate or include incentives just to move inventory that has been sitting for a while. The CB300R isn't struggling because it disappoints owners. It's struggling because today's buyers have so many alternatives that being a great motorcycle is no longer enough to guarantee strong sales. Number 7. Indian Challenger. The Indian Challenger is one of the most capable touring motorcycles on the market, but that hasn't been enough to turn it into a strong seller. Even with its impressive performance and premium features, dealerships across America have found it much harder to move than many expected, especially when compared with its biggest rivals. One reason is the intense competition in the touring segment. Buyers spending this kind of money usually have very specific preferences, and many remain fiercely loyal to Harley-Davidson. Convincing those riders to switch brands has proven far more difficult than simply offering better specifications on paper. Price also plays a significant role. The Challenger sits in a premium category where buyers expect perfection, and many shoppers hesitate before making such a large financial commitment. Some ultimately choose a Harley because of its stronger resale value, larger dealer network, or the familiarity of owning one. The Indian Challenger has all the ingredients of an outstanding touring motorcycle, but in America's fiercely competitive bagger market, earning praise and earning sales have turned out to be two very different things. Number 6. BMW R18. The BMW R18 was introduced with enormous expectations, but the American market has never embraced it the way BMW had hoped. Despite its premium engineering and unmistakable styling, it has become one of the slower-selling heavyweight cruisers, often remaining in dealership inventory far longer than expected. Its biggest obstacle is the segment it competes in. Cruiser buyers in the United States have decades of loyalty to brands like Harley-Davidson and Indian, making it incredibly difficult for any newcomer to break through. Even riders who admire the R18 often hesitate when it comes time to actually sign the paperwork. Price has created another hurdle. The R18 sits in a premium category where buyers expect not only performance but also strong resale value, a large dealer network, and a familiar ownership experience. When shoppers compare all of those factors, many decide to stick with more established American alternatives instead. The slower demand has forced some dealerships to become far more aggressive with pricing than they originally planned. The BMW R18 hasn't struggled because it's lacking quality. It has struggled because winning over America's cruiser buyers is one of the toughest challenges any motorcycle manufacturer can face. Number 5. Yamaha Bolt. The Yamaha Bolt has been one of the quietest casualties in the American motorcycle market. While it still offers the reliability and simplicity that Yamaha is known for, buyer interest has steadily faded, leaving many dealerships with motorcycles that take far longer to sell than they once did. Part of the problem is how much the cruiser market has changed. Buyers today are increasingly drawn toward larger V-twins, feature-packed touring motorcycles, or affordable middleweight cruisers with more modern styling. The Bolt sits somewhere in between, which makes it difficult to stand out against newer competitors. Another issue is that the motorcycle has changed very little over the years. While that consistency has helped its reliability, it has also made the Bolt feel dated next to rivals offering updated technology, fresh styling, and more aggressive marketing. Many shoppers simply overlook it before even considering a test ride. That slower demand has forced some dealerships to rely on discounts and promotional offers to attract attention. For buyers, that can mean excellent value, but for dealers, it means inventory that often occupies valuable showroom space longer than expected. The Yamaha Bolt is still a solid motorcycle, but in today's market, being dependable isn't always enough when buyers are chasing the newest designs and the latest features. Number 4. Kawasaki Eliminator. The Kawasaki Eliminator arrived with plenty of excitement, but that early momentum hasn't translated into the strong sales many dealerships expected. Despite receiving positive reviews and offering a well-rounded riding experience, it has become one of the motorcycles that's taking longer to leave showroom floors across the United States. One reason is its difficult position in the market. New riders often choose smaller, less expensive motorcycles, while experienced cruiser buyers usually gravitate toward larger V-twins with more traditional styling. The Eliminator sits between those two groups, making it harder to attract either one in large numbers. It also faces intense competition from motorcycles that have already established loyal followings. Buyers comparing several cruisers frequently end up choosing familiar names they've trusted for years, leaving the Eliminator overlooked despite having very few real weaknesses. Dealerships have responded by becoming more flexible on pricing, financing, and promotions to keep inventory moving. That creates opportunities for buyers who negotiate well, but it also reflects the reality that demand hasn't matched the initial expectations. The Kawasaki Eliminator isn't selling slowly because it lacks quality. It's selling slowly because today's cruiser market gives buyers more choices than ever, and standing out has become tougher than ever before. Number 3. Triumph Rocket 3. The Triumph Rocket 3 is one of the most extraordinary motorcycles money can buy, but it's also one of the hardest motorcycles for dealerships to sell. Its incredible performance and massive presence attract attention everywhere it goes, yet very few buyers are actually prepared to own one, which explains why sales remain surprisingly slow. Its biggest challenge is its size and purpose. The Rocket 3 isn't designed for the average rider looking for an everyday motorcycle. It's a high-end, high-performance power cruiser that appeals to a very specific audience, and that naturally limits the number of people willing to spend this much money on such a specialized machine. The premium price tag only narrows that audience further. Buyers investing this kind of money often cross-shop luxury touring bikes, premium cruisers, or even high-performance sport motorcycles, giving the Rocket 3 far more competition than its unique character might suggest. Because demand is relatively limited, some dealerships end up holding Rocket 3 inventory for months before finding the right buyer. The Rocket 3 doesn't have a sales problem because people dislike it. It has a sales problem because there simply aren't enough buyers looking for a motorcycle this extreme. Number 2. BMW G310R. The BMW G310R carries one of the most recognizable badges in motorcycling, but that alone hasn't been enough to keep it selling. Despite offering an affordable entry into the BMW lineup, it has become one of the brand's slowest-moving motorcycles in America, with many dealerships finding it surprisingly difficult to move inventory. A major reason is the competition. Buyers shopping for an entry-level naked bike are flooded with excellent options from Japanese manufacturers, many of which offer similar performance, proven reliability, and lower ownership costs. That makes convincing shoppers to pay extra for the BMW badge much more challenging than it sounds. The motorcycle also struggles with buyer expectations. Many people walk into a BMW dealership looking for larger adventure bikes or premium touring models, not a lightweight beginner motorcycle. As a result, the G310R often receives far less attention than the motorcycles sitting beside it in the showroom. That slower demand has encouraged many dealerships to advertise attractive financing offers, discounts, and other incentives to generate interest. For buyers, those deals can make the G310R much more appealing, but they also highlight how difficult it has been to maintain strong sales. The BMW G310R isn't missing the quality expected from BMW. It's simply competing in one of the toughest price segments where buyers have countless alternatives and very little brand loyalty. Number 1. Kawasaki W800. The Kawasaki W800 takes the top spot because it's one of the slowest-selling motorcycles in America despite being a genuinely well-built machine. Dealers often praise its quality and classic styling, but praise doesn't pay the bills when motorcycles continue sitting on the showroom floor month after month. The biggest challenge is its limited audience. The W800 is designed for riders who appreciate vintage styling, relaxed performance, and a traditional riding experience. Unfortunately for dealerships, that group is much smaller than the buyers shopping for adventure bikes, sport bikes, or modern cruisers. Its price creates another obstacle. Many customers compare the W800 with motorcycles that offer more power, more technology, or stronger brand appeal for similar money. Others simply purchase a used retro motorcycle instead, making it even harder for dealers to justify keeping new W800s in stock. As inventory remains on the floor, dealerships are often forced to rely on discounts, manufacturer incentives, or attractive financing just to generate interest. The Kawasaki W800 proves that building a great motorcycle isn't always enough, because if too few people walk into a dealership wanting one, even an excellent bike can become one of the hardest motorcycles to sell in America. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.